Welcome to a session on introduction to metals. So a metal is a material that is a solid at room temperature, and it conducts electricity and heat highly. Now, metals can either be in free state or combined state. So what do we mean when we say these are free state elements? Usually these are elements that are chemically less reactive, meaning that they do not react with oxygen, carbon dioxide, and moisture present in the air. And examples of such metals that are in free state are gold, silver, platinum. Then combined state elements are those elements that are highly reactive, meaning they form halides. They can react with halogens, they can react with carbonates, and also with carbon dioxide. And examples of that element is calcium, iron, and magnesium. They're very good examples of combined state elements. Now, what are the physical characteristics of metals? One is that they are rustless, meaning that they do not easily form rust. The number two, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are solid in nature, except for mercury, which is a liquid. So mercury is a metal, but it's a liquid in nature. Then metals have high densities. Metals have high boiling points and melting points. They are malleable and ductile. Now, malleable means they can easily be shaped into any shape. Then ductile, they can be made into thin wires. Metals produce sound when you strike them. When you hit a metal, there will be a sound that will be produced. These are basically physical properties of metals. What are the chemical properties of metals? When metal react with a non-metal, when they react and form a compound, they lose electrons. That's what you should know. And when they lose electrons, they form a positive charge. That is one thing you should know about metals. Number two, when metals react with oxygen, they form oxides. For example, sodium plus oxygen, it gives you sodium oxide. So they form metal oxide. Number three, metals react with water to give out metal hydroxide and hydrogen. Sodium plus water gives us sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. That is what you should know about metals. Now, some less reactive metals such as iron, they can react with steam. And when they react with steam, they form a metal oxide and hydrogen gas. Metals also react with acid. That is another chemical characteristics. And when they react with acid, they produce a salt and hydrogen gas. And that's what we are seeing: sodium plus hydrochloric acid, sodium chloride plus hydrogen, or magnesium plus sulfuric acid, magnesium sulfate, and hydrogen gas. That is a reaction of metal with acids. Metals also react with salt solution. Now, what happens when a metal reacts with a salt solution? It undergoes what is called single displacement, meaning that the most reactive metal displaces the less reactive metal. Let's look at this example that we have here. Iron plus copper sulfate gives us, so meaning that where there's copper there, iron will sit there. And then you have the product iron sulfate and copper. So which metal is it most reactive? The most reactive metal is iron. That's the reason why it has displaced copper. So this is what you should know about the chemical properties of metals. Now, this now brings us to the reactivity series of metals. When we are talking about the reactivity series of metals, we are looking at which metal is more reactive than the other. For example, this what you are seeing is a reactivity series, meaning that potassium is most reactive, followed by sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, zinc, iron, tin, lead, copper, mercury, silver, gold. These metals, you have to know them the way they are arranged in their reactivity series. Meaning that when you are going down, the reactivity series decreases. But when you are going up, the reactivity series increases. In some question exams, what they would ask you is arrange the metals based on their reactivity. So you should know that most reactive metals, especially those in group 1, followed by group 2, it goes like that. The one in group 1, they are most reactive metals. But even if they are in group 1, again, you realize that metals who have reactivity series based on the period that they have, you realize that the one which has one period might have less reactive than the one with the 2 periods. So this is what you should know about the reactivity series of metals. Know these metals the way they are arranged.